I'm Evelyn, 58. My daughter said, everything will be mine. Then took it all, my pension, my savings, everything my husband left. But when I invited them for dinner, that's when everything changed. Before I share what happened, please like this video, subscribe and comment which city you're watching from. You won't believe what I did next. The roses are blooming again. I stand at my kitchen window this Sunday morning, watching the light catch dewdrops on petals, the color of sunset, deep coral bleeding into gold. Robert planted these 30 years ago, back when his hands were steady and his laugh could fill every corner of this modest Austin house. Back when Claire was just a dream we whispered about in the dark. He's been gone 16 years now, but the roses remember him better than photographs ever could. I'm 58 years old today. Not that anyone will call. Claire might text. She usually does. Something brief between meetings or errands. Happy birthday, Mom, love you. 3 words that used to mean the world. Back when she'd say them with her whole heart instead of her thumbs. The coffee maker sputters its final breath, and I pour myself a cup, black, the way Robert taught me to drink it. Life's bitter enough without adding sugar, he'd say, then wink and kiss my forehead. He was wrong about that. Life got infinitely more bitter after he left. 30 years I gave to Riverside Elementary. 30 years of teaching first graders to read, to dream, to believe. The world was kinder than it actually is. I retired last spring with a decent pension, a gold-plated watch I'll never wear, and the exhausted satisfaction of knowing I'd done enough, saved enough, sacrificed enough. The house is paid off. Robert's life insurance saw to that. My retirement account, modest but mine, sits safely in the bank, or at least it did until 3 weeks ago when Claire started asking questions. Mom, do you have a financial advisor? Someone managing your investments? Are you sure you understand all those bank statements? They can be so confusing. Eric and I were talking. You know he works in finance, right? Maybe we should sit down and review your assets, just to make sure everything's protected. Protected. The word had felt wrong even then, like a wool sweater on sunburned skin. I set my coffee down and moved through the living room, past the piano Claire abandoned after 2 years of lessons, past the bookshelf still holding her high school yearbooks. The walls are a gallery of her life. Gap-toothed smile at 6, prom dress at 17, wedding day at 28 with Eric beside her, handsome in that practiced way some men have. 3 years they've been married. 3 years of polite holiday dinners where Eric talks about market trends and Claire checks her phone, and I pretend not to notice the distance growing between us like frost creeping across glass. When did my daughter become a stranger? The doorbell's chime cuts through my thoughts. Early and unexpected, I glance at the clock. 10:47 a.m. Claire said they'd come by around 1. My heart does that stupid, hopeful thing it always does when I think of seeing her. Even as my stomach tightens with something darker, I smooth my hair, wipe my palms on my jeans, and cross to the front door, through the frosted glass. I can see 2 silhouettes. Claire's auburn hair catches the light. Eric stands beside her, his posture rigid even in shadow. I open the door with a smile I've practiced for years, the smile that says, everything's fine, that mothers don't notice when their daughters stop calling, that loneliness is just part of getting older. Sweetheart, you're early. But the words die when I see her face. Claire isn't smiling. Neither is Eric. They stand on my porch like door-to-door salesmen with something urgent to sell. And the Sunday morning air suddenly feels 20 degrees colder. Mom, Claire says, her voice all business. No warmth. We need to talk about your finances. The roses behind them sway in the breeze. Beautiful and oblivious. And I realize with sudden, terrible clarity that nothing will ever be the same again. They don't hug me. Claire brushes past with a distracted, hey, and Eric offers a handshake so formal it might as well be a business transaction. I close the door behind them, and the click of the latch sounds like something final. I make coffee, I say, forcing brightness into my voice. And I have that lemon cake you like. We're fine, Mom. Claire's already moving towards the dining table, pulling out a chair with a screech that makes me wince. Eric follows, setting a leather briefcase on the table with a decisive thud. The dining table Robert and I picked it out at an estate sale when we were newlyweds, refinished it together in the garage. Claire did her homework here. built her first science fair project here, told us she was engaged here. The wood still bears a faint burn mark from when she was 7 and tried to press flowers with my iron. Now it's about to become something else entirely. I sit across from them, my hands folded in my lap like a schoolgirl called to the principal's office. Eric opens his briefcase with practiced efficiency. Pulling out manila folders and neatly printed documents, Claire watches him with an expression I can't quite read. Pride, anticipation. "Evelyn," Eric begins, and I notice he never calls me Mom. "Claire and I have been discussing your financial situation. My situation." The words come out smaller than I intended. "Your retirement," he clarifies, spreading papers across the table. I catch glimpses of charts, numbers, official-looking letterheads. "You've worked hard your entire life. You deserve security and peace of mind." "I have that," I say carefully. "I'm comfortable. For now." Claire leans forward, her manicured fingers tapping the table. "But Mom, you're getting older. Things get complicated. Bills, investments, healthcare costs. It's overwhelming." I want to say I've been managing just fine. That I balanced a checkbook before she was born. That I understand compound interest better than she thinks. But there's something in her tone that makes me hesitate. Eric slides a document toward me. "We've drafted a comprehensive financial management plan. Essentially, we transfer your retirement accounts and assets into our names." Transfer. The word catches in my throat. "For administrative purposes," he continues smoothly. "We'd handle everything. The pension deposits, investment decisions, bill payments. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing." Claire reaches across the table, covering my hand with hers. Her skin is cold. "It's just being smart, Mom. You read about elderly people being scammed all the time, or forgetting to pay bills and losing their homes. We don't want that to happen to you. I'm 58, not senile." "Of course not." Eric's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "This is preventative. Asset protection. If something were to happen, if you got sick or confused, everything would already be in order. If, when, the words they are not saying hang in the air like smoke. Dad left you that money to be taken care of," Claire says, her voice softening strategically. "He'd want you protected. He'd want us to handle this for you. Robert," she's using Robert against me, and it works. My eyes burn with unexpected tears. "It's really very simple." Eric produces a pen from his breast pocket, expensive and heavy. "Just a few signatures and you can relax. No more worrying about finances or making difficult decisions." The papers swim before my eyes. I see Robert's name, the life insurance policy he worked overtime to afford, my pension, earned through 3 decades of early mornings and parent-teacher conferences, the savings account where I deposited every spare dollar, dreaming of a retirement where I could finally breathe. All of it transferred away for my own good. "Mom," Claire's voice has an edge now, impatience bleeding through the concern. "We're trying to help you. Don't you trust us?" And there it is, the question designed to trap me. If I say no, I'm the paranoid mother who doesn't trust her own daughter. If I say yes, my hand trembles as I reach for the pen. Where do I sign? Eric flips through the pages with practiced ease, pointing to highlighted lines. My signature appears once, twice, 3 times, my name becoming permission, becoming surrender. Claire's already texting someone before I finish the last page. Eric gathers the documents with swift efficiency, tucking them back into his briefcase. "You made the right choice," he says, snapping the case shut. But as they stand to leave, Claire pauses at the doorway. She turns to face me, and for just a moment I see something cold and calculating in her eyes, something that wasn't there when she was young. "You know, Mom," she says quietly, "you really should have done this sooner. It would have saved everyone a lot of trouble." The door closes behind them and I sit alone at the table, staring at my hands, the hands that signed away everything Robert and I built together. Outside, the roses continue blooming, beautiful and indifferent to the ruin happening inside these walls. I should let them go. I should walk them to the door with the dignity I still pretend to have. But something in me refuses to accept that this is how Sunday visits happen now. Clinical, transactional, over in 20 minutes. "Wait," I call out, my voice cracking. "Stay for coffee at least. I made your favorite cake." Claire's laugh is short and sharp. "Mom, we have plans." Just 10 minutes. I hate how I sound. Desperate, pleading. We haven't really talked in weeks. Eric glances at his watch, a silver thing that probably cost more than my monthly pension. Claire sighs, the exaggerated kind she used to make as a teenager when I asked about homework. Fine, 10 minutes. I busy myself in the kitchen, hands shaking as I pour coffee into the good china cups, the ones with tiny painted roses that Robert bought me for our 10th anniversary. Through the doorway, I hear Eric on the phone, his voice low and pleased. Claire's scrolling through her phone, thumb moving with mechanical precision. When I return with the tray, they barely look up. I set down the cups, slice the lemon cake, arrange everything like I'm setting a stage for a performance no one wants to see. So, I begin, settling into my chair. How's work going, sweetheart? Busy? Claire doesn't elaborate. She takes a bite of cake, chews, swallows, eyes never leaving her screen. And Eric, that project you mentioned last month, wrapped up. He's reviewing the documents again, making notes in the margins. Silence settles over us like dust. I sip my coffee, but it tastes like ash. Outside, a bird lands on the windowsill, pecks at the glass, then flies away. Smart bird. I was thinking, I venture carefully, that maybe I could still handle my own bills. I've always enjoyed balancing the checkbook, keeping track of things. It gives me something to do. Mom? Claire finally looks up, and there's something in her expression that makes my stomach drop. That's literally the entire point of what we just did. You don't have to do any of that anymore. I know, but I want to. It's my money. I should... Was your money? Eric doesn't look up from his papers. Legally, it's now under our management. The words hit me like a slap. Was past tense, something that used to be mine. I just meant that I'm still capable of... Are you? Claire sets her phone down with a decisive click, because from where I'm sitting, you barely understand how online banking works. You still write checks, Mom, actual paper checks. In 2024, that doesn't mean I'm incompetent. Nobody said incompetent, but her tone says otherwise. We're saying it's time to let the people who understand these things handle them. Eric works in finance. He knows what he's doing. And I worked for 30 years. I raised you alone after your father died. I managed just fine. Did you? Claire stands abruptly, her chair scraping back. Did you really, Mom? Because I remember a lot of things you like to forget. My heart hammers against my ribs. What are you talking about? I'm talking about you trying to control every aspect of my life, criticizing my friends, my choices, even who I dated. You never thought anyone was good enough for me. I was protecting you. You were suffocating me. Her voice rises, and Eric places a hand on her arm, but she shakes him off. Do you have any idea how hard it was to finally break free, to make my own decisions without you hovering over everything? Claire, that's not fair. Fair, she laughs. But there's no humor in it. You want to talk about fair? Let's talk about how you guilt-tripped me every time I wanted to move out, how you made me feel terrible for choosing my career over visiting every weekend, how you cried when I got engaged because apparently Eric wasn't what you envisioned for me. Each word is a knife. I never said that. You didn't have to. It was in every look, every comment, every passive-aggressive question about, are you sure about this? Honey, I gripped the edge of the table. I only wanted what was best for you. No. Claire's eyes are hard now. Nothing like the little girl who used to curl up in my lap during thunderstorms. You wanted what was best for you. You wanted me to stay small and close and dependent. Well, guess what? I'm done with that. She picks up her purse, movements jerky with anger. Eric gathers his briefcase, looking almost uncomfortable now. Claire, please. She turns at the doorway, and what she says next destroys me. You don't deserve anything, Mom. Not after all the mistakes you made trying to control my life. Not after the years of making me feel guilty for growing up. Her voice drops to something cold and final. Everything Dad left, everything you saved, you always acted like it was this big sacrifice, like we should be grateful. Well, now it's where it belongs, with me, with us. And you know what? It's about damn time. The door slams so hard, a picture frame falls off the wall. Robert's face stares up at me from the floor, glass cracked across his smile. I sit frozen at the dining table, Claire's words echoing in the sudden silence. You don't deserve anything. Outside, the roses bloom on. indifferent to the fact that my daughter just shattered what was left of my heart. I don't remember walking to Robert's chair, don't remember the hours passing, the light fading, the house growing cold around me. But suddenly it's dark, and I'm sitting in his old reading chair, the leather cracked and worn where his shoulders used to rest. This is where he sat the night before the heart attack, reading the newspaper, humming something tuneless, alive. The next morning, he was gone, just like that. No warning, no goodbye, no chance to say all the things I thought we had time for. Now Claire's gone too. Not dead, but something worse, transformed into someone I don't recognize. You don't deserve anything. The words play on repeat in my head, a broken record I can't turn off. I stare at the walls, at the gallery of Claire's life that I've maintained like a shrine. Claire at 3, covered in finger paint and joy. Claire at 10, missing her front teeth, holding up a science fair ribbon. Claire at 16, wearing the dress I sewed for her birthday, rolling her eyes at my camera but smiling despite herself. Where did that girl go? The one who used to bring me dandelions and call them roses? The one who made me breakfast in bed on Mother's Day? Burned toast and lumpy oatmeal that I ate like it was caviar. The one who sobbed in my arms after her first heartbreak saying, "You were right, Mom, you're always right." When did I become the villain in her story? I force myself up, my body stiff from hours of sitting. The house is tomb quiet. I walk through it like a stranger, seeing it through Claire's angry eyes, the piano I insisted she learn. Was that controlling, the photos on every wall? Was that suffocating? The dinner I made every Sunday, hoping she'd visit. Was that guilt? Maybe she's right. Maybe I held too tight, loved too hard, wanted too much. But what Mother doesn't in the kitchen, the lemon cake sits uneaten, already drying out. I should cover it, put it away. Instead, I pick up the knife and slice into it, watching it crumble under the blade. The lemony smell reminds me of the first time I made this for Claire. She was 7, recovering from the flu. She ate 3 pieces and said, "Mom, you make everything better. I used to make everything better. Now I can't even make her stay for coffee." The clock above the stove reads 11:47 p.m. Too late to call anyone. Not that there's anyone to call. My friends from school send occasional emails, but we've drifted. Claire was my world, and I let everyone else fade into the background. Another mistake to add to the list. I brew tea. I don't drink and stand at the window overlooking the garden. The roses are just shadows now, but I know they are there, constant, faithful, unlike everything else. "Robert," I whisper to the darkness, "what should I do?" But Robert's not here. Robert left me to navigate this alone, and I've failed spectacularly. I think about the documents I signed, my pension, flowing into Claire's account, Robert's life insurance, now under Eric's management, the savings account I've built dollar by painful dollar, gone, all of it, given away because my daughter asked, because she said, "Don't you trust us?" Because I'm a fool who still believes that love conquers all. My phone sits on the counter, dark and silent. No goodnight text from Claire. No apology for the harsh words. Nothing. The tea goes cold in my hands. Somewhere around 3 a.m. I end up back in Robert's chair, exhausted but unable to sleep. That's when I see it. The photo on the side table that I haven't really looked at in years. Robert and me on our wedding day, young and stupid and convinced that love was enough. He's looking at the camera, but I'm looking at him, and the expression on my face is pure joy. When was the last time I felt that? When was the last time anything felt simple? I pick up the photo, trace his face with my finger. "You always said I was stronger than I thought," I tell him. "But I don't feel strong right now. I feel broken. The house doesn't answer. The shadows don't move, but something shifts inside me. Small, barely there, but real. Claire thinks I don't deserve anything. She thinks I'm just a controlling mother who made mistakes. Maybe I did make mistakes. Maybe I held too tight. But I loved her. God, how I loved her. And that has to count for something. The sun starts to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. The roses come back into focus. Beautiful and resilient. They've survived storms, droughts, neglect. They've survived without Robert. Maybe I can too. I set down the photo and reach for my phone. The screen lights up bright against the dawn. I scroll through my contacts until I find the name I need. Mr. Green, Lawrence Green, Robert's lawyer, the man who handled his estate, who knew him, who might understand. My finger hovers over the call button. Claire thinks it's over. She thinks she's won. But this isn't a game, and I'm not finished yet. I press dial. The line rings once, twice. At 6:04 a.m. on a Monday morning, Lawrence Green answers with a sleep, rough voice. "Evelyn, is everything all right?" I look out at Robert's roses, catching the first light of day. "No," I say quietly, "but it will be. I need to make an appointment today, if possible. It's urgent." "Of course. What's this about?" I take a deep breath, feeling something I haven't felt since yesterday morning. Purpose. It's about taking back what's mine. Lawrence Green's office smells like old books and lemon furniture polish. The kind of smell that suggests permanence, stability, things I used to take for granted. He meets me at the door himself. No receptionist today. And his expression is already concerned. "Evelyn." He takes my hand in both of his, and the warmth is almost enough to break me. "You sounded distressed on the phone." I am. I let him guide me to a leather chair across from his desk. The office hasn't changed since Robert's funeral 16 years ago. Same mahogany furniture, same framed diplomas, same view of downtown Austin through the wide windows. Lawrence settles into his chair with a careful grace. He's in his mid-60s now, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, wearing a cardigan over his dress shirt that makes him look more like someone's grandfather than a lawyer. But I know better. This man shepherded Robert's estate through probate, with precision and compassion. If anyone can help me, it's him. "Tell me what happened." So I do. Everything. Claire and Eric's surprise visit. The documents, the pressure, the signing, the words Claire threw like grenades before she left. My voice stays steady through most of it. But when I get to, "You don't deserve anything," it cracks like thin ice. Lawrence listens without interrupting, his expression growing progressively darker. When I finish, he's silent for a long moment, steepling his fingers beneath his chin. "Did they threaten you?" he finally asks. "No, not exactly," I think back, replaying the scene. "They said it was for my protection, that I might get confused, make mistakes. They made it sound like I was being foolish if I refused. Coercion doesn't always involve threats." "Evelyn." Sometimes it's wrapped in concern. He pulls out a legal pad, uncaps a fountain pen. "Tell me exactly what you signed." I describe the documents as best I can. The transfer of my pension payments. The authorization to manage my accounts. Something about power of attorney. The words are fuzzy now, like I saw them through gauze. Lawrence's jaw tightens. "Did you have independent legal counsel present?" "No." "Did they give you time to review the documents?" "To think it over." "They said it was simple, that I just needed to trust them." He sets down his pen with deliberate care. "Evelyn, I need you to understand something. What they did, pressuring you to sign over your assets without proper representation, without giving you time to consider, that's unconscionable. It may not be criminal, but it's damn close." The word criminal makes my stomach flip. "But she's my daughter," which makes it worse, not better. He leans forward, his voice gentle but firm. "Robert trusted me to look after you if anything happened to him. I should have checked in more often. I'm sorry I didn't. This isn't your fault." "No, it's Claire's and Eric's." He opens a drawer, pulls out a file. "The good news is that you have options. There's a period of rescission for these types of transfers, especially when executed under duress. We can reverse everything." Hope flutters in my chest, fragile as a moth. "Really?" "Absolutely. It'll take some paperwork, some phone calls. But yes, we can put it all back in your name by end of week." He pauses. "The question is, what do you want to do after that?" I know what he's asking. Do I want to pretend this never happened? Smooth things over with Claire? Go back to the uncomfortable status quo? The answer comes easier than I expect. "I want to change my will." Lawrence's eyebrows rise. "Go on. Robert left everything to me, and my will leaves everything to Claire. That's how it's always been." I take a breath. I want to change it. I want everything to go to St. Anne's Home for Children. The orphanage. Yes, I volunteer there, have for years. Since Robert died, those kids, they need it more than Claire does, and they'll appreciate it more than she ever would. Lawrence studies me for a long moment. "Evelyn, this is a significant decision. You're talking about disinheriting your only child. I'm talking about making sure my legacy goes to people who will value it. My voice is steady now. Certain, Claire made it clear that she sees my life's work as something she's entitled to, as if my sacrifices were debt owed. I won't reward that mindset. Have you considered that she might contest it? Challenge your mental capacity. The sort makes me laugh, sharp and bitter. Let her try. You'll be my witness that I was of sound mind, that I made this choice freely without pressure. I meet his eyes. Isn't that ironic? She pressured me to give her everything, and now I'm freely choosing to give her nothing. He picks up his pen again, tapping it against the pad. There's something else you should know. If we reverse the transfers and change your will, Claire will eventually find out. She'll receive statements showing the accounts are back in your name. It won't be immediate, but I know. I've thought about this during the sleepless hours, and I want to tell her myself, on my terms, in my time. All right, he starts writing, his fountain pen scratching across the paper. We'll start with the rescission paperwork today. I'll contact your bank, your pension administrator, get everything reversed. Then we'll draft a new will, ironclad, beyond contestation. We spend the next 2 hours going through details, account numbers, asset lists, legal language that makes my head spin. Lawrence explains everything patiently, making sure I understand each step. By the time we finish, my hand aches from signing legitimate papers, papers that restore rather than relinquish. This will take a few days to process, Lawrence says, walking me to the door. But Evelyn, you should be proud of yourself. Not many people find the strength to stand up for themselves, especially against their own children. I don't feel strong. I feel terrified. That's how you know it's the right thing. He squeezes my shoulder. Call me if you need anything. And Evelyn, think carefully about when and how you want to tell Claire. That conversation will define what happens next. Outside, the Austin sun is bright and hot. I stand on the sidewalk, feeling lighter than I have in days. My phone buzzes, a text from Claire. Did you figure out your online banking login? Eric needs to access the account. I stare at the message, at the casual entitlement in every word. Instead of responding, I type a new message. Want to come for dinner this week? I'll make your favorite. Her response comes quickly. Sure, tomorrow. Perfect, 6 p.m. I slip the phone back in my purse and smile at the cloudless sky. Tomorrow, I'll serve more than dinner. The meatloaf goes into the oven at 4:30 p.m., exactly 90 minutes before Claire and Eric are due to arrive. It's Robert's recipe, the one his mother taught him, passed down through 3 generations, brown sugar and ketchup glaze, a hint of Worcestershire, breadcrumbs mixed with milk-soaked oats. The smell alone used to bring Claire running to the kitchen. I wonder if she'll even notice tonight. I've spent the day preparing with the focus of someone staging a performance. The house is spotless. The dining table set with our wedding china, white porcelain with delicate gold trim that I usually keep locked away. Fresh flowers from the garden, the good linen napkins, candles in crystal holders. Everything perfect, everything deliberate, everything a lie in its way. But then again, so was Sunday's visit. The doorbell rings at 6:02 p.m. Punctual, as always. I smooth my dress, the blue one Claire once said made me look put together, and open the door with the smile I've perfected over 58 years of being someone's mother. Sweetheart, Eric, come in, come in! Claire's holding a bottle of wine, expensive by the label, a hostess gift that feels more like obligation than thoughtfulness. Eric's in business casual, already checking his phone. Something smells good, Claire says, and I almost believe she means it. Your favorite, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans from Mrs. Henderson's garden. I take the wine, lead them to the dining room, just like old times. Old times, Claire laughs. But there's an edge to it. When was the last time we did this? Too long, I say, and mean it. We settle at the table. I pour wine, a generous glass for each of them. Water for me. Need to keep my head clear. The meatloaf comes out perfectly, the glaze caramelized and gleaming. I serve it with the same care I used when Claire was 5 and watching me with wide, adoring eyes. Those eyes are different now, narrower, calculating. So, Eric begins, cutting into his meatloaf. We should discuss the financial arrangements. There are some forms you'll need to sign for the pension transfer. Let's eat first. I interrupt gently. Business can wait. Claire shoots Eric a look, and he subsides. They eat, making small talk that feels choreographed. Claire tells me about a promotion she's up for, about a vacation they're planning. Eric mentions a Tesla they're considering, a house in Westlake Hills they toured last weekend. Sounds expensive, I venture. We can afford it now, Claire says, and the now hangs in the air like smoke. I take a sip of water, gathering courage. That's wonderful. You've worked hard. We have. She meets my eyes across the table. And we're glad you finally see that you're letting us take care of things properly. As if I'd been doing it wrong all along. I set down my fork. The sound seems very loud in the suddenly quiet room. Actually, I need to tell you something. Eric's hand freezes halfway to his mouth. Claire's expression shifts, wariness creeping in around the edges. I saw Lawrence Green yesterday, Robert's lawyer. Why? Claire's voice is sharp. Because I needed to understand exactly what I signed on Sunday. I keep my tone even, conversational, and to make some corrections. Eric sets down his silverware with deliberate care. I reversed the transfers. Everything. The pension, the accounts, Robert's life insurance. It's all back in my name as of this afternoon. Silence. Complete and absolute. Claire's face goes pale, then red. You can't do that. I can, actually, and I did. I meet her eyes without flinching. Lawrence explained that I signed under duress, without proper counsel or time to consider legally. I had every right to rescind. Eric's jaw clenches. This is a mistake, Evelyn. We were trying to help. No. You were trying to help yourselves. The words come easier now. And I let you, because I'm a mother who loves her daughter. But love doesn't mean letting myself be robbed. Robbed. Claire's voice rises. We're your family. That money should be ours anyway. Should it? I stand surprisingly calm. When after I'm dead, or now, while I'm still breathing and inconveniently attached to it, Mom, let me finish. I've waited my whole life to say these words. I also changed my will. When I die, everything goes to Saint, Anne's home for children. Every penny, every asset, the house Robert built, the savings we accumulated, the life insurance he bought to protect me. All of it! Claire shoots to her feet, her chair clattering backward. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. The paperwork is signed, witnessed, and filed. But I'm your daughter. You can't just give everything to strangers. I finish. Why not? At least they'll be grateful. At least they won't tell me I don't deserve it. Her face crumples, but not with sadness, with rage. This is because I was honest with you, because I finally told you the truth about how suffocating you've been. No. Sweetheart, this is because you showed me the truth about what you value. And it isn't me. Eric stands, pulling Claire toward the door. This isn't over, Evelyn. We'll challenge the will. We'll prove you weren't in your right mind. Good luck with that. My voice is steady as stone. Lawrence Green witnessed my competence. He'll testify that I made these decisions freely, rationally, and with full understanding of their consequences. Mom? Claire turns at the doorway, tears streaming now, but I know these tears. They're the same ones she used when she wanted a later curfew, a new car, permission for things I knew were wrong. Please, don't do this. We can talk. We can... What? Go back to pretending. Go back to you taking what's mine and calling it love. I shake my head. I gave you everything I had, Claire. My time, my money, my life, and you called it control. You called it mistakes. I pause, letting the weight settle. So now I'm giving everything to people who will actually value it. Maybe then you'll understand what you lost. What I lost? She laughs, hysterical. What about what you're losing? I'm your daughter. Yes, I say quietly, and I will always love you. But I won't let you destroy me in the name of that love. They leave. No slam door this time. Just a quiet click that somehow sounds worse. I return to the table, to the half-eaten meatloaf and the cold mashed potatoes. The candles flicker in the draught from the closing door. Robert's chair sits empty across from me, but I swear I can feel him there. Proud, supportive, steady. I did it, I whisper to the silence. I actually did it, outside. The roses sway in the evening breeze, and for the first time in days, I don't cry. 3 months pass like a held breath. No phone calls, no texts, no unexpected visits on Sunday afternoons. The silence where my daughter used to be is so complete. It has its own weight, its own presence. Some mornings I wake up reaching for my phone, certain she's called, certain this whole nightmare has been just that, a nightmare. But my call log stays empty, and the nightmare continues in daylight. I fill the void with routine. Tuesdays and Thursdays at St. Anne's, where I read to the younger children and help the older ones with homework. Saturdays at the community church, serving lunch to whoever needs it, the elderly, the struggling, the forgotten. Sunday mornings I spend in my garden, tending Robert's roses and trying not to think about how quiet the house feels. I tell myself I did the right thing. I tell myself Claire needed to learn this lesson. I tell myself that love sometimes means letting go. Most days I almost believe it. It's a Wednesday morning in October when I overhear the gossip. I'm at the weekly community lunch, ladling soup into styrofoam bowls, when Martha Henderson leans close to her friend Betty and whispers, but not quietly enough, "Did you hear about Evelyn's daughter, Claire?" My hands freeze mid-pour. "What about her?" Betty asks. Greedy for news, Eric left her, just up and vanished, took everything from their joint accounts and disappeared. The soup spills over the rim. I barely notice. "No, when?" "About a month ago." Apparently she came home from work and he was just gone, cleaned out their savings, packed his things, didn't even leave a note. My chest constricts. A month ago, she's been dealing with this for a month, and I didn't know. "That's terrible," Betty says, but her tone suggests she finds it more interesting than terrible. "What's Claire doing now?" "Lost her job too, I heard. Something about her performance slipping. She's in a smaller apartment, barely making rent. Such a shame." I set down the ladle with shaking hands and excuse myself. In the church bathroom, I grip the sink and stare at my reflection. My face is pale, my eyes wide with something between vindication and horror. Eric left her, took everything, disappeared. It's what I wanted, isn't it? For Claire to understand what it feels like to be used, abandoned, stripped of security by someone she trusted. So why do I feel like I'm drowning? I pull out my phone, my finger hovering over her name in my contacts. One call, just to make sure she's okay, just to hear her voice, but I stop. If I call now, I'll cave. I'll offer money, solutions, rescue, and she'll accept without learning anything except that Mom will always save her. Lawrence's words echo in my memory. Some lessons only come from consequences. I put the phone away and return to serving soup. That afternoon, I find myself at St. Anne's earlier than usual. Sister Margaret, who runs the home, finds me in the reading room, staring at nothing. "Something troubling you, Evelyn," I tell her. All of it. She listens with the patience of someone who's heard countless confessions, and when I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. "You're wondering if you were too harsh," she finally says. "I'm wondering if I'm destroying my daughter in the name of teaching her a lesson. Are you, or is she learning what happens when we treat people as resources rather than relationships?" Sister Margaret sits beside me. "Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is let someone hit bottom. It's the only way they learn what's real and what's not. But she's my child. She's a grown woman who made choices, bad choices, yes, but hers to make and hers to learn from." I want to argue, but can't find the words. Sister Margaret pats my hand. "Give it time, Evelyn. If the lesson takes root, she'll find her way back. And if it doesn't," she pauses, "well, then you'll know you did what you could." I leave St. Anne's feeling hollowed out, unsure whether I'm doing right or wrong or some terrible combination of both. It's on my way home that I stop at the new bakery downtown. Honey and Grain. It's called. The windows are warm and inviting, filled with artisanal breads and pastries that look like edible architecture. I need something sweet, something to fill the emptiness. Inside, the smell is heavenly. Yeast and sugar and possibility. The man behind the counter is maybe 60, with silver hair and kind eyes that crinkle when he smiles. "First time here?" he asks. "Yes, it all looks wonderful. Try the honey wheat, fresh from the oven an hour ago." He slices a piece, offers it on wax paper. It's perfect, light and substantial at once, with a subtle sweetness that doesn't overwhelm. "You made this. Every morning I'm Thomas Reed, owner, baker, and occasionally janitor. His smile is easy, genuine, Evelyn Carter, impressed customer. We talk for a few minutes about bread, about the neighborhood, about nothing important, but his kindness is like sunshine after rain, and I realize I'm smiling for the first time in weeks. You should come by on Saturdays, he says, as I'm leaving with a loaf wrapped in brown paper. I donate to the community kitchen. Maybe I'll see you there. Maybe you will. Walking home, bread tucked under my arm, I feel something shift. Not happiness exactly, but something less heavy than despair. At home, I cut a thick slice of Thomas's bread and eat it with butter and honey. Robert's chair sits across from me, empty but somehow less lonely than before. My phone sits silent on the table. I don't call Claire, not yet. Outside, the October wind strips leaves from the trees, making room for whatever comes next. The knocking is so soft I almost miss it. I'm in the kitchen, washing lunch dishes and half listening to NPR when I hear it. Tentative taps that could be mistaken for branches against wood. But the November sky is clear, windless, and those aren't branches. Someone is at my door, someone who doesn't want to be heard. I dry my hands, heart suddenly racing. 3 months and 12 days since Claire stormed out. I've counted everyone. Even as I told myself I wasn't counting. Through the peephole I see her, but it's not the Claire I remember. This woman is gaunt, her clothes hanging loose on a frame that's lost too much weight. Her hair, always so carefully styled, is pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup, dark circles like bruises under her eyes. She raises her hand to knock again, and I see it trembling. Every maternal instinct I have screams at me to throw open the door, to pull her inside, to fix whatever's broken. But I force myself to breathe, to think, to remember why we're here. I open the door slowly. Mom. It's barely a whisper. Her eyes, God, her eyes are red-rimmed and pleading. Nothing like the cold anger I saw 3 months ago. Claire. We stand there, inches apart, but separated by everything that's been said and left unsaid. She looks like she wants to say something. Tries to form words, but instead her face crumples completely. I'm sorry, she chokes out. Mom, I'm so sorry. And then she's sobbing, not the manipulative tears from before, but the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and broken, the kind that can't be faked. My resolve lasts exactly 3 seconds. Then I pull her inside, into my arms, and she collapses against me like a child, like my child. Shh, I murmur, stroking her hair. Okay, I've got you, she cries, for 10 minutes, maybe more, shaking in my arms while I hold her up. When the sobs finally quiet to hiccups, I guide her to the couch, the same one where she used to curl up with homework and hot chocolate. Back when the world was simpler, I make tea. Not because either of us will drink it, but because it gives my hands something to do. When I return, Claire is staring at her lap, pulling at a loose thread on her jacket. Eric left, she says without preamble. 5 weeks ago. Came home and he was just gone. Took everything from our joint account. $53,000. She laughs, broken and bitter. Funny, right? I tried to take your money and he took mine. Claire, I lost my job 3 weeks later. They said my performance had declined. But really, I think they were just looking for an excuse. Office politics. I was never good at playing those games. She finally looks at me, and the pain in her eyes is raw. I lost my apartment last week. I'm staying with Jennifer from book club, sleeping on her couch. She's been kind, but I can see her getting tired of me. Every word is a knife. My daughter, my proud, successful daughter, reduced to this. I tried to get another job, but it's been impossible. My savings are gone. I had to sell my car. I've been taking the bus to interviews, and I can't even afford a decent outfit anymore. Her voice drops to a whisper. I have nothing, Mom, nothing. The silence stretches. I know what she wants, what she needs. Money, help, rescue, but I also know what she needs more. No, I say gently. You didn't lose everything. She looks at me confused. You lost money, you lost comfort, you lost the things you thought defined you. I set down my untouched tea. But those were never yours to begin with. Eric's money, your job, the apartment, those were all temporary, all transactional. Mom, please, let me finish. I moved to sit beside her, taking her cold hands in mine. What you have now, what no one can take away, is the chance to understand what actually matters, what's real. Tears spilled down her cheeks again. I was awful to you. I said terrible things. Yes, you did. I accused you of controlling me, when really, I was just angry that you saw through Eric. You tried to warn me and I wouldn't listen. She squeezes my hands. You were right about everything. About him, about me, about what I was becoming. I wasn't right about everything, I admit. Maybe I was too protective. Maybe I did hold too tight. But Claire, what you said, what you did, that wasn't about me being controlling. That was about you choosing money over relationship, security over love. I know, she's crying again, and I hate myself for it. I hate that it took losing everything to see what I had. You haven't lost everything, I repeat. You've lost what you never needed. The question is, what are you going to do with what remains? She wipes her face with shaking hands. I don't know, I'm so tired, Mom. Tired of pretending, tired of trying to keep up appearances, tired of everything. Then stop. Stop what? Stop trying to be the person you thought you should be. Stop chasing things that don't matter. Stop running from the only thing that does. I tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, like I used to when she was small. Start over. Start real. How? By learning what you're actually worth. Not in dollars, but in character, in kindness, in the ability to look at yourself honestly and choose differently. Claire leans against me, exhausted. Can I stay here tonight? Just tonight. Jennifer needs her space, and I just need to be home. Home. The word breaks me and heals me at the same time. Yes, I say. But Claire, I'm not giving you money. I'm not solving this for you. If you stay, you'll help at the community kitchen, and we'll figure out next steps together, but I won't be your safety net. Not this time. She nods against my shoulder. I understand. I don't want your money, Mom. I just want... Her voice cracks. I just want my mother back. She never left, I whisper. She was just waiting for her daughter to come home. We sit like that as November light fades outside. Two women who've lost and found each other in the space between what we wanted and what we needed. Outside, Robert's roses are dormant for winter, but I know they'll bloom again. Some things always do. The alarm goes off at 6:00 a.m., and for the first time in 3 months, I'm not alone in the house. Claire's asleep on the couch where I left her last night, wrapped in Robert's old Afghan. Her face is peaceful in a way it hasn't been in years. No tension around her eyes, no tightness in her jaw. Just my daughter breathing softly, finally at rest. I make coffee quietly, watching the sun paint the kitchen gold. This is the tricky part. The rebuilding anyone can tear down. Construction takes patience, precision, and a willingness to get your hands dirty. She wakes around 7, disoriented until she remembers where she is. Then relief washes over her face, so profound it hurts to witness. Morning, I say, handing her coffee. Morning. She takes it gratefully. I thought maybe I dreamed this. Nope, still here and still serious about what I said. I sit across from her. No money, but if you want to stay here while you get back on your feet, we do it my way. Which is? Saturday morning, we serve at the community kitchen. Today is Thursday, so you've got tomorrow to rest. But come Saturday, you're with me 7 a.m., she winces. Claire never was a morning person, but nods. Okay. And we talk to Lawrence Green. Get you proper advice about the debt Eric left you with. Your legal options, no more flying blind. I can't afford a lawyer. He's Robert's lawyer. He'll help because it's the right thing to do. Not because you can pay him. I pause. That's something you need to relearn. Not everything is transactional. Her eyes water. I really was terrible, wasn't I? Yes, but you're here now, and that's what matters. Saturday morning, she's ready at 6:45, wearing jeans and an old sweater I recognize from high school. We drive to First Baptist Church in comfortable silence, and I can see her nervousness building as we park. I don't know if I can do this, she admits. Do what? Serve food? Face people? I'm not good with humility, I noticed. I hand her an apron from the trunk. I guess you'll learn. Inside, the kitchen is organized chaos. Martha Henderson is already slicing bread, Betty's organizing serving stations, and Thomas Reed is unloading fresh loaves from his van. He spots us and smiles. Evelyn, and you brought help. Thomas, this is my daughter Claire. Something flickers in his eyes. Recognition maybe from gossip he's heard, but his expression stays kind. Glad to have you, we can always use extra hands. Claire spends the morning washing dishes, prepping vegetables and serving meals. I watch her interact with the people who come through our line. Elderly Mrs. Patterson with her walker, the Johnson family with 3 kids under 5, Marcus the veteran who lost everything but refuses to lose his dignity. At first Claire's stiff, uncertain, but then Mrs. Patterson asks for extra gravy, and when Claire obliges, the old woman squeezes her hand. Bless you, dear, you have kind hands. I see something shift in Claire's expression. For the first time in years, maybe her whole adult life, someone is thanking her not for what she has, but for what she gives. By noon, she's laughing with Betty, helping Marcus carry his tray to a table, kneeling down to talk to the Johnson kids at eye level. This is the Claire I remember, the girl who used to share her lunch with kids who forgot theirs, who made cards for lonely neighbors when we're cleaning up. Thomas approaches with 2 cinnamon rolls. For the road, he says. You both worked hard today. Thank you. I take them and our fingers brush briefly. It's not the first time. But today, I let it linger a moment longer. Claire notices on the drive home, she glances at me sideways. Thomas seems nice. He is. How long have you been? We're friends, I say firmly. He brings bread to the kitchen, we talk. That's all. But she's smiling. You're allowed to have more than friends, Mom. I'm 58. So, Dad would want you to be happy. Her voice softens. I'm sorry I made you feel like your life ended when mine began. Like you existed only to serve me. You didn't. I did, and it was selfish and cruel. She stares out the window, watching those people today, seeing their gratitude for something as simple as a hot meal. I realized I never thanked you. Not really. Not for the 1,000 meals you made me. The 1,000 ways you showed up. We're at a red light. I reach over and take her hand. You're thanking me now. Over the following weeks, a pattern emerges. Claire serves at the kitchen twice a week. The rest of the time, she job hunts, meets with Lawrence about her legal situation, and slowly rebuilds. Not her old life. That's gone. But something new. It's at the kitchen that she meets Janet Moreno, a social worker who volunteers on Sundays. You're good with people, Janet tells her one day. Have you ever considered social work? I don't have a degree in it, but you have life experience. Sometimes that's more valuable. Janet hands her a card. We have a training program. It's intensive, but if you're serious about helping people, it's a start. That night, Claire shows me the card. What do you think? She asks. I think you should do what makes you feel alive. Helping people makes me feel alive. Today, I helped Marcus apply for VA benefits he didn't know he qualified for. It took 2 hours and was completely unpaid. She pauses. It was the best 2 hours I've had in years. Then you have your answer. She enrolls in the program the following week. It's not easy. She works part-time at a coffee shop to cover expenses, studies late into the night, volunteers every spare moment. But there's a light in her eyes I haven't seen since she was a child, dreaming of saving the world. Meanwhile, Thomas and I have fallen into our own pattern. Coffee after Saturday service, occasional dinners at his place above the bakery, where he teaches me the alchemy of sourdough, long walks through Zilker Park, where we talk about everything and nothing one evening in January. Claire finds us laughing in the kitchen, flour on our clothes from a failed attempt at croissants. She doesn't say anything, just smiles and joins us, and we work together until we have something resembling pastries and everything resembling family. That night, lying in her old bedroom, she moved back in last month, paying rent through her coffee shop wages. Claire texts me, I'm proud of you, Mom, for finding yourself again, for not waiting for permission to be happy. I read it 3 times before responding. I'm proud of you too, for finding yourself, period. Outside January. Cold has settled over Austin, but inside something is finally, genuinely warm. Spring arrives on a Tuesday. Sudden and insistent. I'm in the garden when I notice the first buds on Robert's roses. Tight green promises wrapped in potential. Thomas is beside me, his hands deep in soil as we plant new bushes among the old. Yellow roses this time, to complement Robert's coral ones. A continuation, not a replacement. Your husband had good instincts, Thomas says, examining the older bushes. These are hardy varieties, meant to last. He always thought long-term. I sit back on my heels, surveying our work. Sometimes I think he knew he wouldn't be here to see them mature, wanted to leave something that would outlive him. Thomas is quiet for a moment, understanding the weight of widowhood without needing to discuss it. It's one of the things I love about him. And yes, I can admit now that it's love, different from what Robert and I had, but no less real, no less valuable. Mom, Claire's voice calls from the house. Someone's here to see you. I brush dirt from my jeans and head inside, Thomas following in the living room. Claire's talking animatedly with a young woman in professional clothes, and when she turns, I recognize her. Sister Margaret. She smiles, no longer in her habit but unmistakable. Actually, just Margaret now. I retired from St. Anne's last month. I had no idea. It was time. I'm too old to chase toddlers. She gestures to Claire. But I was hoping to catch you before you heard elsewhere. We received a very generous donation to the home last week. Anonymous. But the paperwork came through Lawrence Green's office. My heart stops. What? Claire's looking at me, eyes wide. Mom, I liquidated some assets, I admit. Just a small portion, enough to build that new playground you mentioned last year. Evelyn, Margaret's eyes shimmer. It's enough for the playground, a new kitchen, and fully funding 3 college scholarships for our older kids. That's not a small portion. It's money Robert would have loved to see used that way. I glance at Claire, nervous about her reaction, and it felt right. But Claire's not angry. She's crying, actually. The good kind. The kind that cleanses. That's exactly what you should do with it, she says. Those kids deserve it. They'll actually appreciate it. You're not upset. About what? Not inheriting money I never earned and don't deserve? She laughs wetly. Mom, I make $32,000 a year as a junior social worker. I share this house with you and my boyfriend is still just a maybe. I drive a 10-year-old Honda and my wardrobe is 70% thrift store. Your boyfriend. Thomas raises his eyebrows. Claire blushes. David, he volunteers at the VA. We met through Marcus. It's new, but... She shrugs, smiling. It's real. He doesn't care about money or status. He cares about helping people, like actually cares. Not the performative caring I used to do. I'd like to meet him, I say. You will soon. She turns to Margaret. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about St. Anne's. My supervisor mentioned that you're looking for a part-time social worker to help with the older kids' transitions. College prep, housing assistance, that kind of thing. We are. Margaret looks intrigued. You're interested? Very. I've been working with aging out foster youth at my day job, and it's the most meaningful work I've ever done. Kids who think they're too broken or too behind to succeed, and helping them see they're not. She stops, voice thick. It matters. They matter. This is my daughter, not the one who wanted my pension, but the one who wants to make pensions possible for kids who have nothing, not the one who saw people as resources, but the one who sees their worth beyond what they can provide. Margaret and Claire talk logistics while Thomas and I return to the garden. We work in comfortable silence, and I think about how lives change, how they grow wild sometimes before they bloom true. Evelyn, Thomas says suddenly, I need to tell you something. My heart clutches. Here it comes. The revelation that this is temporary, that good things don't last, that I'm falling in love with you actually. I think I've already fallen. He sets down his trowel, meeting my eyes. And I know it's complicated. You have history with Robert and Claire's just getting stable. And maybe I'm too old to be saying things like this. I kiss him, right there in the dirt, surrounded by roses old and new. I kiss him until we're both breathless and grinning. Took you long enough, I say. I've been waiting months for you to figure it out. You could have said something and rob you of your romantic moment. Never. I lean my forehead against his. I love you too. Thomas Reed. And it's not complicated. It's just true. We finish planting as the sun climbs higher, and when Claire comes back outside, she finds us laughing at some private joke, dirt under our nails and happiness in our bones. She pulls out her phone, snaps a picture. For my wall, she explains. Right next to the one of me and Dad, the people who taught me what love actually looks like. That evening, we all sit on the porch. Me, Claire, Thomas, and David. When he arrives for dinner, we eat simply. Thomas's bread, my vegetable soup, a salad from the garden, nothing fancy, but everything essential. David tells terrible jokes. Claire laughs too loud. Thomas holds my hand under the table, and I realize this is what I was fighting for. Not money or pride or being right, just this. Just love in its truest, most complicated, most beautiful form. Later, after everyone's gone to bed or gone home, I sit at the kitchen table with my journal, the one Lawrence suggested I keep, to document my sound mind for legal purposes, though it's become something more, I write. Today, I understood something Robert tried to tell me years ago, that the best inheritance isn't money or property, it's transformation. Claire isn't who she was, and thank God for that. She's becoming who she was always meant to be, someone who gives more than she takes, who values people over possessions, who knows that the only wealth that matters is measured in love. And me, I'm finally learning that my worth isn't tied to how much I sacrifice or how useful I am. I'm valuable because I exist, because I choose kindness, because I refuse to let bitterness turn me bitter. The roses are blooming again, Robert's and Thomas's side by side, old love and new, making something more beautiful together than either could alone. I don't know what comes next. Maybe Claire will mess up again. We all do. Maybe Thomas and I will face challenges. Maybe I'll live another 30 years, or only 3. But I know this. I reclaimed my dignity. I found my daughter again. I discovered that love doesn't end at 60, or 70, or ever. And in a world that tells women my age to disappear quietly, to accept less, to be grateful for scraps, I planted new roses and built a new life and loved with my whole damn heart. That's legacy enough. I close the journal and walk to the window. Outside, under a sky full of stars, the garden sleeps. But beneath the soil, everything is preparing to bloom. Some things are worth the wait. Some things are worth the fight. And sometimes, the best revenge is living so well, the revenge becomes irrelevant. I smile at my reflection in the dark glass. 58, wrinkled, imperfect, and absolutely radiant with the kind of joy that only comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to apologize for it. Good night, Robert, I whisper. Thank you for the roses, for everything. The house is quiet, the world is still, and I am finally completely at peace.